Hello and welcome to Dell's Gaming, and this is from the Depths Designer, and there has been a new big update come out from the Depths, so this will be split over a few videos. Yes, I am finally back after a very frustrating few months. Caring for people is one of my jobs, so that's kept me busy, and also I've had to rebuild machines. So in here I am using new operating system, new recording software, so let me know if the vision or audio isn't quite right, because I'm still tweaking the settings, but hopefully everything will be okay. Now this is version 2.7.2.1, I think, is the latest one. There's been a few changes, so there's a number of big updates or big changes. One is the strategic AI, and I will do a separate video purely upon the strategic AI, and also the power system, fuel engines, steam engines, power priorities, and I'll do a separate video on that as well, because they are quite large topics to look at. So just in this first episode, just to have a look at the blocks first, and just make sure that the video is working, to be honest, so let me know. So in this new patch, what has changed? Well, under the blocks, the first one that comes up is something that John was working on, and that was the transitions. So if we take, say, metal block, under transitions here, we've got a whole new set of transitions. Now what does transitions do? Well, normally, if you had an example over here, we had some angles going to 4, 3, 2, 1. You can see it's very sawtooth. With the transitions, you can now make that a much smoother transition from one size to the next. And there's various ones with offsets, etc. They're to be helpful where, especially around the front of a hull, where you're trying to get a bit of a slope in there, or pull it in without it looking too sawtooth, which some hulls look a little bit. Still working through all of the various transitions myself, but they are helpful just to make things look a little bit better. Another change which I liked, if we go through, I didn't see anything different much in water. Air, there is some differences for custom jet performance. The small custom jet especially has had its performance increased, and also the ratio between a small jet to a big jet, the power to efficiency. So I may look at that as well separately, either parts of an engine or maybe even one of its own, because getting good power but reasonable fuel usage is important with jets. Custom wings. Now I can't show all the custom wings here, but there's a whole new set of custom wing shapes, which can mean that if you're making a prop plane or plane, you can make a much nicer looking wing area. Downside of it at the moment is it's not very armoured, etc., as you expect a wing, and you do have to tweak it a little bit to stop your plane flying off too much, but otherwise good, again, if you're trying to make something look very authentic. Land, haven't had a chance to look through the land ones. Hopefully they fixed a few bugs on the sticky foot and some of the wheels. Controls, mostly similar. One thing I like is this new chair. It's sort of there's a new chair. Previously, if I create the elevated chair, here on the elevated chair, if I put it down here as an example, and now go into it, when you are looking through the chair, if you've got portholes or windows, you're too high, you can't see through the portholes, quite simply. So with this new chair, if I go down here and hopefully put myself in it, there we go, we can see we're actually now looking through the portholes, except I have put a bug on this. If I look left and back, we're not we're actually sitting on the arm of the chair. We seem to be not revolving around the centre of the avatar, but around a cylinder, if that makes sense. So anyway, it's almost correct, just not quite for some reason. Anyway, I like that because that was always annoying, because you'd create a ship to allow you to look out and you couldn't. Now if you put 3 windows, or at least 2 windows, you'll be able to look out left and right and rear okay, but mainly you'll be able to look out the front. So that's a nice little change, which I like anyway. Another area, resources. There is now a resource for empty fuel and empty ammo. So when you're building the ship initially, it won't try to populate all of the ammo and fuel as part of the building process, which makes the initial build a lot cheaper, especially when you're in the campaign. On the ammo side, the ammo processor has been changed, and also normal ammo boxes, even when full of ammo, do not generate ammo. The only way to create ammo is now the ammo processor, which takes power and materials to produce a certain amount of ammo. If we come up and have a look on there, we can see create 7.5 ammo for each batch of material. There is plans for a more advanced ammo making facility, similar to what you've got for refineries, but that's not in the game yet, but that will be eventually in there to allow you to centralize your ammo production facilities along with your fuel, and then ship them out to your ships separately, and maybe have the odd ammo processor just for emergency use, but not being the primary creator of ammo. So yeah, we've now got the option for empty fuel and ammo containers. Just going down, AI, didn't see any specific differences on the AI. Fuel engines, again, we will look at in a separate, along with steam engines. You'll notice also, I didn't really say this, the menus have been changed. I quite like the way they are now. I can see everything I need. It's slightly less clicks. You'll have to get used to it, of course, but I think this layout is slightly better than the one previously. Simple weapons. Problem with the Twin 40, you're not seeing the image there. You can see on the right hand side, but all the others are now at least lining up, and you're seeing everything. So no amazing changes on there. I won't bring up cram cannons because that causes my system to have a problem. And advanced cannons, the prices for items in advanced cannons and cram, etc., have all changed, and I'll potentially have a look at that again in the future. Right, missiles. The only major change I can see in this area has been with cluster missiles in the cost of them. So if we look at this missile here, which has cluster containers, you'll notice the ammo cost is 172, and that's for all of the fins, variable thrusters, etc. If we compare that to a normal 8-meter one, you'll notice that it's 280. So it's basically what's that? 172. So it's basically 110 cheaper. And this is a small missile, which is the cluster. You'll notice that is still at the 39. So that's slightly cheaper because of that cluster munition ejector. So look, smaller bit is wherever you put these cluster containers or ejectors, it reduces the ammo cost on your missile. Finally, in the general menu, there's been a lot more prefabs set up for the system on each of the areas where there is various items. They put quite a few example prefabs for various guns, etc. So you can have a look through those if you don't want to build from scratch. I tend to build from scratch. The other one is hull prefabs. There's some nice hull prefabs going up to quite some large ones here as well. So if you don't want to build your hull from scratch, you can start by taking one of these prefabs, and if I let's just put that somewhere where I can look at it. So you can take this as your starting point for your new ship, and there's other sections to be able to build the normal hull and the rear. So rather than starting from scratch, you can just speed up your design and build process. You can also just look at these as an example of how to get this good front hull shape, as an example. I mean, I personally wouldn't use these myself. I like to build from scratch, but they are good for people to start with if you're not sure on how to make these various hull shapes, etc. yourself. So good. The other one is over here. We have some, in the advanced cannons, the templates for turrets, because very often you're building a turret and you can't work out what will allow it to turn. So by using these templates for the various sizes, you can see the white section can turn and the metal section will be the rear. So if we were to make this particular, where are we here, this section, you can see where the white parts are, it is being allowed to turn. So that's going to help create your turrets a little bit. You could what I'd most probably do is lay this down, then replace the outside with beams and the inside just create almost like a template like this, and then replace it with whatever your gun system is. It should help. I do it myself sometimes. You build a system and it doesn't turn because one block is wrong somewhere, or you end up not using the most effective layout of the potential turret because you're not sure. So this will help to alleviate the problems of either stuck turrets or more efficient turrets. So another good little add-on to the general menu. That's it, I think, for the basics of the update. As I say, I will put into a separate video the power systems. Mostly look at that one, how that now works, because they are somewhat different. Also, there's quite a few differences in the fuel engines compared to previous, so people will have to rethink their fuel engine designs. And it also, now superchargers do have a role now as well as turbos. They are slightly different, but we'll go through all of that in that particular video. What else was there? Yes, the weapons. We'll look at the weapons. I've got a problem where I can't do cram cannons, but I can look at the advanced cannons, possibly have a look at the costs on those, and then the wings and flying parts with the jets. We'll have a look at those in one other, just to see what's new in this particular update. Now, the final one bit I didn't show, and I did mean to, was there's now a search facility. It's been there all this time, down in the right hand side. If you want to search for a particular item, let's say we wanted a jet, well, you can just type it in there and then click jet, the item here, and it takes you to the right menu. So if you really can't find something like a Warner, can't remember where a munition Warner, you couldn't remember where it's got moved to, you can use this and it will take you to the correct menu item and highlight it with a yellow. So that is another little handy change that's been added to this update. That, I think, is it. Let me know in the comments down below if I've missed anything which you feel is important. The AI strategy I will do last on these videos, because I'm going to need to do a bit obviously running it in the campaign. I can't do that in design mode. I actually have to run the campaign, so we'll have a look at that later. I think there's a little bit of work needed for that anyway. But until next time, let me know anything else I've missed. Otherwise, keep playing the game and have fun.